Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I'm unboxing the Audiolab 9000Q analog preamp. This is a stunning example of what can happen when you have engineers looking at the circuit topography of a dedicated preamp circuit and laying things out perfectly within it, rather than the complexities and compromises associated with an integrated amplifier. Now, I'm a big fan of integrated amplifiers. They hit a wonderful price and quality point, but ultimately separating the box between a preamp and running with the line signals and volume control and a power amplifier with all of that relatively high voltage and high current of the stage associated with driving speakers, separating those two is infinitely better as far as overall noise floor, attention to detail from a design perspective, soundstage, all of those types of things. Nevertheless, 9000Q, really well featured, by the way. You will see that as I point things out. From a packaging perspective, all of the new Audiolabs are in this brown box, and then they are sort of heat shrunk in a protective plastic sort of wrap. Means it's somewhat better protected as far as weather and things along those lines. Nevertheless, getting the plastic off is pretty straightforward. I typically just sort of score an X on the bottom, and then the rest sort of starts to tear away. The plastic's done its job. It is the type that can be recycled with your soft plastic. But immediately, as soon as you get rid of that, it's gone. Gone are all the freight labels, gone is all the dust associated with warehousing and distribution, and you end up with a lovely, clean, brand new looking box underneath. Now, Audiolab logo obviously front and centre. It's taped closed with that sort of glued paper tape. Instructions associated with packing and weight on one end. Audiolab 9000Q. Along with room-tested Bluetooth, DTS, MQA and other standards. On one end we've got serial number and model information and a scannable code, along with a QR code to Audiolab's website, with mentioning, of course, front and centre, 3-year warranty. Okay, nice and easy. Now, with any of the packaging that's got this sort of paper tape, it means that you run the craft knife across everything. As always, I recommend that you lift the lid and do the minimum amount of cutting associated with opening the tape at the top to ensure that the knife can never drag too low and potentially cut what's underneath. Nevertheless, Audiolab in this instance have the product sitting well beneath that and brilliantly held in place with the closed cell foam to protect it. We've got a full comprehensive manual in an A4 plastic bag associated with its setup. Audiolab, the 9000 series, you can navigate through quite a large display. So there's a 4.5 inch colour display. You can change the display to show a VU meter style for it. You can change the input and output selections, everything associated with everything. Buried in its menu, which is kind of cool. You can push and hold a few buttons and you rotate them around and dive in. Nevertheless, the manual, of course, has the step-by-step progress of where these menus end up and how you get back after saving things. So, excellent to see. On one side, and it, by the way, that little shape protects the volume and selector switches of the preamp. And then we've got a specific labelled 9000Q accessory pack. It's not going to be much in here. There is, of course, a New Zealand IEC earthed power cable. There's a couple of AAA batteries, and held in place with some closed cell foam is Audiolab's remote control. It's a reminder that this is like a system remote. It's a remote that will operate any of the Audiolab products. It's the same in the 6000, 7000 and 9000 series. There's buttons down the bottom here associated with the CD transport, the amplifier, or the N for streamer, network streamer. and the rest is pretty self-explanatory. It also allows you to navigate through the menu if you require, but ultimately it's going to be volume, up and down and mute that you'll probably use the most. Getting the preamp out of the box is pretty straightforward. In the base, we've got a couple of desiccant bags and things along those lines to keep it all dry. Get rid of that. Again, the cutaway clothes cell foam we're familiar with for the 9000 range. Then finally it's protected with a poly paper bag. It's taped closed, so a couple of nicks are required to sort of release the bag, and then slipping it off is pretty straightforward. It's worth mentioning as we dive into some of the things associated with a preamp is, and again, fascinated, I love integrated amps, so I'm not beating them up from a quality perspective, but some of the simple things like the feet. Audiolab and the 9000 range have lovely rubber isolation feet. Now, partly because you're looking at electrical resonance, you've got caps, you've got power supplies, all of these things that have microscopic resonance and harmonics associated with them. Cram that in an integrated amplifier and you end up with some of that muddlement that can be vastly improved with a preamp and a power amplifier. Even stacked on top of each other, the feet help to isolate the microscopic vibrations that are associated with the power amp away from the preamp. Again, simple little things, but all of them have been really well thought out in the range. Looking at the front, we see the classic 9000 layout. A big colour display, it illuminates. As always, hang around for the photographs. I'll turn this on, I'll show you the process, some of the menus, not all of them, but some of the menus, so that you get a really good feel for what this looks like. You've got a selector button which is associated with the inputs. You'll see those at the rear. And then you've got a 1/4 inch or 6.35mm headphone socket. The larger of the two knobs, of course, is the volume control, and the two work together as far as being able to push and select when you navigate through the menu via the on-screen display. Then finally we've got a basic on-off power button. It's a relay. Well, it controls a relay. There's a standby button with it that glows associated with what it's doing, and then we have got the Audiolab logo embossed underneath. Looking at it, we see immediately that the extruded aluminium panels emulate that of the other 9000 series. It's the same depth it's designed to be, but it's at the back that we see just how well appointed this preamp is. Now, from a spec perspective, the DAC is one of their ESS Pro DACs. So, digital ins from their CDT transport, or from an external modest streamer, or their 9000N streamer via the balanced analog, means you can have an array of different inputs and outputs. From a feature set perspective, they've maintained the optical digital ins and the coax digital ins for all manner of other things. And of course Bluetooth. In fact, the Bluetooth is one of the latest 5.1 sort of specs, so very well appointed from that perspective. Anyway, look, down to the details. Off to one side, we've got a ground associated with the specific moving magnet phono input. Then we've got a series of inputs marked auxiliary 3, 2 and 1, and then a traditional auxiliary output. Now this is line out, it's not a variable out, that's where the others come in, of course. Then we've got a single set of balanced inputs, clearly labelled right and left, and then the two optical and two coax inputs that I alluded to. Unused inputs can be turned off if required, not that you need to. Then we've got an asynchronous USB, and if you're streaming very high resolution files, this is likely to be how you'll do it, from a source of some kind like a computer. Beside it is a traditional USB input. Now that is for software purposes, updates, and also to provide 5 volts for an external device if required. Beneath it are 12 volt triggers marked A and B, and this allows for the triggering on of connected devices. Now the most likely, of course, is one of their 9000p power amplifiers, or two of them, and look out for a video associated with both bridging mono, the amplification side of things, and of course the unboxing video for the 9000p. Then we've got duplicated pre-outs. Now these all run in parallel. Admittedly, the single-ended the balanced runs a little hotter, so from a voltage perspective the advantages of balanced are clear. Nevertheless, the outputs are clearly labelled right and left for the XLR balanced outs, and then duplication of the pre-outs, enabling you to use that to multiple amplifiers if required, or to the a couple of subwoofers or something that you may need as well. We've got screen printing associated with the 9000Q, designed and engineered in the UK. A simple enough rocker switch for on and off, IEC power input, and a fuse beneath. So there we have it. The stunning, ultra low operating noise floor 9000Q preamp, unboxed here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.